the official Catchup Lowland League edition. It's myself, Ben, here, and I'm joined by Chris this week. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I'm alright. Obviously, I'm on over the phone this week, Ben, so hopefully it's like you can hear me and everything and everyone else can.
It sounds nice and crisp. Just a shout out to our sponsors, the Soccer Shop Direct. Follow them on Twitter at the Soccer Shop D. Or check out their website. It's on www.thesoccershopdirect.com for all your teamwear and football equipment needs. Another week in the Lowland League, and we'll start off at Kelty. This is probably the biggest game of the weekend. It was Kelty Hearts versus East Kilbride. It was a 1-0 victory for East Kilbride. Chris, you predicted any?
Yeah, I think I was in the minority with that actually, but we put out a poll for a few of the games. We had quite a few tough fixtures, but this was obviously, like you said, Ben, the big one. And East Kilbride got the job done, 1-0 win. The fog was, I don't know if you saw some of the pictures, Ben, but the fog through this way was horrible. So the first half, I'm not sure that any of the boys would have saw 5 yards in front of them, but Kelty had the best chance just before half time. It was off the bar. Michael Tidzer's powerful free kick smacks the bar and it was out for a corner. A very sort of even first half, most of the action in the midfield base. Going into the second half, East Kilbride kind of took a wee bit charge of the game, I would say. 56 minute, Chris Erskine in the middle of the park touches the ball round the Kelty player, plays the ball out wide to Kyle Wilkie, who runs at the defence, beats two, puts a ball in the back post, but no one is there. On the 68th minute, East Kilbride got their goal. Chris Erskine again linking with Paul Woods on the right. Woods comes back following up is Kyle Wilkie, who slots it home. They had another chance to seal it on the 78th minute. It was on the break. Smith on the right puts Erskine through the middle. Keeper comes out to shut him down. Erskine tries the lob, but it narrowly goes past the post. What a win for East Kilbride. It's going to be tough for Kelty. I mean, they've the Betfred Cup coming up, so they're going to be missing a few weeks, and they're really going to be chasing their tails to try and keep up with East Kilbride. Their next league game's against Cumbernauld Colts as well, and they've not won in the past 2 seasons at Cumbernauld Colts. Cumbernauld Colts have won both games at Kelty, so very, very interesting result there, I would say, Ben.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have had this one kind of going either way, and certainly I thought Kelty would manage to get the victory. But I think the thing for me about Kelty here is they didn't score. You'd expect. I think we both expected goals in this game from both sides, but East Kilbride managed to get a clean sheet, and it looks like Chris Erskine had a great game and been very influential in the match. He's been a great bit of business for East Kilbride, so it certainly looks like he's done his bit for the team. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a hard one for Kelty, as you say. Got the Betfred Cup coming up, and I think the other thing as well is it's not just East Kilbride that are winning matches. There's 3 or 4 teams above them now that are putting points on the board. So come a few weeks' time, they could certainly be kind of right behind, although they'll have the games in hand. But looking on to the next match, that's one of the other teams we're talking about, Bonnyrigg, who have started brilliantly this season. They won 2-1 against Berwick in Newton Park. It was game is, I think, looks like pretty even for most of the match. It was a clever free kick from Bonnyrigg that catches the Berwick defence sleeping. Dougie Horn in goal made a great save from Tom Grant. There was a penalty shout on the 13th minute. Donnelly went down the box for Bonnyrigg, but the ref waved away claims for any sort of penalty. Looking ahead, it was before half time. There was a foul on Campbell and a penalty went to Bonnyrigg. Ali Forster still was down getting treatment following the challenge, which resulted in the penalty, and it was Ryan Stephen that scores the penalty. Not Ryan Stevenson, of course, who plays for Troon, if you're an avid listener to this podcast. But that went, it was 1-0 to Bonnyrigg at half time. It seemed a pretty even second half with Kieran Anderson. He managed to get the second goal for Bonnyrigg on the 59th minute. It was a great through ball from Tom Grant, and he finished well to get the goal. On the 76th minute, it was Dan Purves. His pace got him in behind the Bonnyrigg defence, and Seifert home the ball to make it 2-1. There was another chance for Kieran Anderson right near the end, but his shot he couldn't find the target from a tight angle. However, it was Bonnyrigg that got the result, and another great result for Bonnyrigg. It would have been a tough game. Berwick have started to obviously get some results and putting in some performances, but Bonnyrigg keeping abreast with teams at the top and look like they're going to be I guess no mugs in this league this season. I think they'll be right up there for the bare end. What do you think?
Yeah, Brown result for Bo'ness. A wee shout out to Devin Jacobs, 100 game for Bo'ness. He's been at a few clubs, but brilliant achievement there. As for the penalty, I did manage to see this one. There wasn't a lot of highlights floating about for some of the games, but it was a 50-50. I think Ali Foster's just ran into Campbell like to get the ball, and he's ended up with a really serious head knock. So I'm not 100% sure if that was a penalty. To be honest, if the Berwick player's getting elbowed in the elbowed in the face or whatever, I'm not sure how Bo'ness have got a penalty out of that. But to be fair, fantastic result. Can't take anything away from them. Berwick were a wee bit still missing players in that, but I guess we can't really say too much in terms of the injuries and players missing. I know we point out like key ones, obviously, like to Fash for Kelty, but every team at this point in time's probably got a few injuries or suspensions.
Yeah, that's the thing. The thing will be that a lot of these squads, you'll see the ones who've got the depth in their squad will be able to kick on and probably get good results. So, yeah, there's a lot of teams there. I think across most leagues you'll have guys picking up kind of hamstring strains, calf strains, these kind of things, and missing maybe a couple of weeks through injury. So I think that's going to be part and parcel of the season with the way things have been, kind of the start and stuff like that. So disappointing, obviously, for Berwick, but as I said before, great result for Bo'ness, and a team that I'll be keeping a close eye on now because I think they really could push Kelty, East Stirlingshire, BSC, and East Kilbride all the way. I think that's going to be a really big contest for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and they've certainly proved it with the results, like you've said, Ben.
Yeah, so they've had some tough matches and they're getting the results out of the bag. Maybe not winning pretty every time, but they're certainly getting the results, and that's what matters. Let's be honest. So, getting the wins and getting trying to keep as least amount of goals out as possible. So, all right, looking ahead to the next game, it was Cumbernauld Colts versus Gala Rovers at Broadwood Stadium.
This was one that it was kind of a tough call last week. It was Gala that started better. They got a goal on the 17th minute. Ben Herdman opening the scoring. Gala took the advantage to what is described as a scrappy goal from a disputed corner. So it was 1-0 to the away side at half time. They came into the second half, 77th minute, Ross Aitchison doubles Gala's lead, and the Colts did get sort of consolation towards the end, Lee Whitmore getting a goal in added time. But despite throwing everything into getting a point, they came up a wee bit short. An excellent result for Gala, who move up to 6. That's 3 wins on the trot. Hard to really say. I mean, I don't think there's been major changes from last season in their squad. If anything, they've probably lost a few players. So it's hard to really tell if this is form or if it's really improvement, if that makes sense, early on.
I think you got to look at the results so far. What, 4 wins out of 6 is there's something different in happening. I think the form is coming in their favour. They've had some, I guess, mixed results, but by and large, they're getting the results. So that's, again, go back to what I said earlier, it's important for Gala. They're sitting, 6th in the table as well. So looking strong, certainly. I was a wee bit gutted right enough when Cowan get put out the Soccer Shop Direct Challenge Cup on Wednesday night to Sauchie. With a last-minute goal, we were heading to Gala for the next round if we'd got a result there. So I was disappointed not to get to that game. So it's all league for us, but certainly I think Sauchie versus Gala will be a decent match in the Soccer Shop Direct Cup, because I thought Sauchie looked pretty good on Wednesday night. So I'm sure they'll run Gala close.
And just a wee note on the East of Scotland, they beat Lothian Fiscal Hutchie Vale away from home on Saturday as well, Sauchie. So a bit of a surprise one as well. I don't think Lothian Fiscal had lost a game up until that point. So interesting tie there, Ben.
Yeah, well, I found out from Matt Hollingworth after the match that that was their first victory of the season. So that was a little bit tough to take, shall we say. But less said about that, the better. Cowan managed to bounce back with a little 1-0 win against Darvel on Saturday, so that was quite nice. But yeah, less said about the cup, the better. We're not exactly a cup team at the moment, but anyway, moving on. Next game was, I'm going to say BSC Glasgow, but you could perhaps call them the BSC West of Scotland these days, because they're picking up boys from the West of Scotland League, right, left and centre. They were playing Spartans. It was a 3-1 victory at the Edinburgh Stadium. And talking about West of Scotland things, they brought in Jamie Glasgow and Craig McCracken from Auchinleck Talbot on loans. absolute fantastic players, and it was that man Glasgow himself with the first great ball from the centre of defence. A quick diag into the penalty area. He's taking a great first touch and he's just banged it home. Great finishing. It's the kind of thing that a boy like Jamie Glasgow can do. He's a great player and adds to that team. But 15 minutes later, there's another goal for BSC. Mikey Anderson scored a goal from him just outside the box. It was a great shot, and the keeper probably could have done better, as I said. But 2-0 up for BSC, and they looked like they were kind of full steam ahead to get the victory. Just after half time, Jamie Hamilton chases down his man, picks up the ball on the edge of the air, and slots it into Ryan Tierney, who puts it away to make it 3-0. BSC were coasting at that point, and I think the points were staying in the job by that time. But Spartans did get a goal back. Jamie Mills takes the matters in his own hands and decides to make things interesting by heading it over David Wilson into his own goal. So, a chance for Spartans to get a goal, but it was probably too little, too late, I'd imagine, eh?
Yeah, it was probably the most routine win that BSC Glasgow have had over Spartans. We mentioned it a wee bit last week, Ben, that it's kind of a wee minor rivalry, sort of competitive rivalry between these two, and the games are often always close with the sort of late goals and all this sort of stuff. But I think Dougie had said Spartans are in a wee bit of a transitional sort of season, I guess. I'm not entirely convinced by Keir Russell in midfield. I know they're missing a few guys. They were missing a few guys on Saturday, like Dan Bauer, who's been playing left back. But it wasn't really great from Spartans. I thought BSC were fantastic, and the guys that they've brought in loan, Jamie Glasgow, Craig McCracken, brilliant players, and I really see BSC being a top challenger this season.
I've got to agree with that, Chris. I think those additions to the squad, those are kind of guys you're not going to get normally in the BSC. And Swifty's been clever with the business and bringing those guys in, because those guys are probably earning good money at Auchinleck Talbot and probably not allowed to go and play for a team like BSC because maybe the wage is good at BSC. However, they've been given a chance to play. Those guys obviously want to play, which is great. So bringing them into the lineup, both of them started on Saturday. McCracken's is one of the best centre halves in the west of Scotland for sure. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Jamie Glasgow, equally a great winger. There's a reason why he's playing at Auchinleck Talbot and not another team. He was at East Stirlingshire for a while as well before, and he was really good there. I think he scored like about 20 goals for Shire when he was there, and he's the kind of guy that can just change a game. I think I spoke a lot about Darren Christie, who signed from Pollock on loan. Similar kind of player in that respect. He can give you an extra dimension on the wing and create chances and get balls in the box. And you've got guys like Alfie Aguiman in the centre forward areas that could probably get those chances. Ryan Tierney, another player that's capable of finishing as long as he gets them set up. So I think you're right, Chris. I think BSC have got a great chance, and I don't know about their business, but I'm no doubt they could probably bring in a few more players from the west of Scotland who are strong players and can maybe add more depth to the squad. Because I think if you look at their squad, they've got guys that are coming off the bench and can add to the game, as well as having that first 11 that looks strong. So I think quite early BSC are going to be up there scoring goals pretty much 2 or 3 a game, week in, week out right now. They're starting to keep the clean sheets and get tied up at the back as well. So I think BSC fans are going to be happy with their performances and what they've done so far. And it'll be interesting to see if they do bring in some more guys. If they do, I guess if they get injuries, it may be an opportunity to bring in some guys on loan. So,
and the thing is, though, one thing that we have to mention, I mean, Ross Lyon, who's one of the top scorers, he was playing right back, and Jamie McCormack's been really solid playing centre back. So Swifty's changing up. He's getting by boys to play, different positions and stuff. And for whatever reason, it seems to be working. Like I would never expected, Jamie McCormack to be playing at centre back really well, but he's obviously trying to facilitate, Jamie Glasgow and Darren Christie on the wing. But it seems to be working well for them at the moment. They look absolutely solid, and I was a wee bit disappointed that they never made a BSC Jamie Glasgow sort of, GIF or photo or whatever. But I don't know. I wasn't the only one that noticed. I was watching a wee bit of the game on Saturday, and I wasn't the only one that noticed. Derek was wearing gloves. He's letting the team down there, I think.
Aye, we need to talk about those gloves, don't we? He's not here today because he's moving house, but certainly those gloves were questionable. It wasn't that cold. Surely I was in Darvel in a tracksuit top and a t-shirt and a pair of trackies. It wasn't that cold, but Mozza had these gloves on, which were at least he had a navy jacket on and navy trackies this time. I called him in before for that, so I'm glad to see he was matching in colours at least. But another great stream from BSC. I sat and watched some of the match this morning. It looked like a good game for both sides, and the streams are obviously good quality. And it's great to see all these teams doing this kind of stuff and getting the streams going for fans who can't obviously watch. Looking ahead, next game is East Stirlingshire versus Bonnyrigg Rose. More misery for Bonnyrigg as East Stirlingshire won 2-1 at the Falkirk Stadium.
Yeah, disappointing for Bonnyrigg. I was listening to Robbie Horn after the match. Obviously, they're a wee bit down at the moment, drawing the last two and then going to Shire and getting beat. But in terms of the game, I think it was a lot of the action in the first half, obviously. 38 minutes. Greg Wild finds Andy Rogers with a great pass. Andy flicks in Dean Watson, who smashes the ball into the far corner to give East Stirlingshire a lead. 2 minutes later, it was a penalty for Bonnyrigg. Dean Brett tucked it home for the equaliser, and 2 minutes later, on the 42nd minute, it was a Shire penalty. The Dean Watson that we mentioned dances into the box and with some fancy footwork, leaving defenders standing, and is clinically or cynically brought down. I've heard different things about that. That was what I read from Shire, but on the flip note of that, I believe Bonnyrigg had some reservations about whether it was a penalty. I've not seen the highlights. I've not seen anything from the game. So just to preface what I'm about to say there, I did hear it was the minimal contact. I know they've said that he's been brought down quite cynically or whatever, but I did hear it could have been considered what you would, the old dive, and so just what I've heard online. So until I see the highlights, I'll just have to go with that. Andy Rogers did step up and slot home 2-1 East Stirlingshire at half-time. And I think the second half, it was a wee bit testy. It was intense stuff, both teams having their chances. But all in all, a fantastic result for Shire. They would have been a wee bit disappointed to concede finally, but to be fair, it was from the penalty spot. They've still not conceded from open play. Fantastic win. Full credit to Dell and the lads there. I'll have to see the penalty to see what it was, but yeah, certainly there was some bemoanments from the Bonnyrigg faithful that it wasn't a penalty. In fact,
I like your description of how Watson dances into the box with some fancy footwork. That was an incredible bit of description of play. Yeah, I think Bonnyrigg are going to be disappointed. They're having a tough time right now, but full credit to Shire. They're looking excellent. As you said, first goal we conceded only from a penalty. They're doing well. I think they'll be. I think this is the thing, isn't it, about the whole league? That there's going to be those you probably say 5 teams at this point that are going to be right up there, and you maybe see something start to fall away. As we get to maybe the midpoint of the season, but certainly now all teams are keeping close, and it's going to look like a right fight because a lot of these teams are still going to play each other as well. So it's going to be interesting. But Shire look absolutely great right now, and I think they're going to be strong contenders, just like the other teams that I mentioned. But a great result for Shire, but Bonnyrigg rightly going to be disappointed.
Obviously, Bonnyrigg are dropping a few points now, Ben, but I think other teams will as well. They're not out of it by all means. I think it leaves a very small margin of error when they come up against the East Kilbrides, when they come up against the Kelties. They need to really look at them as wins now, and they probably already are, being the team that they are, but very, very small margin of error. You didn't want to be coming into December or January and being miles off,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're probably looking at the games that they've played and expecting to get results, and they haven't done. However, as you say, going to places like East Kilbride or Kelty or maybe even Shire later on this season, they're going to have to try and get results because, as you say, they've slipped a few now. They're 8 points off the top, albeit with a game in hand. But certainly look they need to get something going sooner. They're going to be probably out of it by Christmas. But hopefully they'll turn things around. I think they've still got a good enough side there that can turn that around. But I think they need to sort things out and get back to winning ways quite quickly. Next game we're going to look at is Edinburgh Uni versus Cali Braves. It was a 2-1 victory for Cali Braves, and this was a team that we said last week that we thought really had to get something going pretty soon, and they managed to do that against Edinburgh Uni.
Yeah, they started off early. It was they were up 1-0 after the 6th minute. Andy Dowie giving them the lead. They were up 2-0 on the 17th minute. It was their own goal, unfortunately for Edinburgh Uni. So they kind of done the job sort of in the first half. 2-0 up at half time. Edinburgh Uni did get back into it on the 72nd minute. It was David Maskery, and it was a nervy finish. I managed to watch a wee bit of the sort of end, and Edinburgh Uni were really going for it, trying to get the equaliser, but they had an excellent chance. I don't know who it was, but they had an excellent chance sort of right at the death, mate, where the shot, it looked like it was going in, but just missed. And I think we've heard a lot about that in Edinburgh Uni. They've maybe not got all the results they want, but they seem to be, if it's a tight game, you can expect them to be going for it. And Cali Braves were, I wouldn't say they were lucky to escape there. I mean, they've done their job, but fair play to Edinburgh Uni. I think at the end they'll be probably disappointed that they never got slung out of that game. But like what we said last week, Ben, Cali Braves needed to win that, and fair enough, they've got the win. One guy we've kind of been focusing on is Ross McNeil being out, but Neil McLaughlin is back, which was great to see. He's one of their key players. And Gavin Lackland, who was man of the match, it's good to see him back for the Braves as well. So they're getting boys back now, Braves. So hopefully that can help them to climb up the table a wee bit. Yeah,
I think it's an important win for Cali. I think if they'd lost that or even drawn that, they'd have been pulled right into that kind of bottom kind of section of the league. I think if you're looking at the league table just now, there's 2 or 3 sections. You've probably got the top table guys. You've got kind of a mid-table battle happening, and then you've got that kind of relegation dogfight that and certainly Cali Braves wouldn't want to be pulled into that at this point in the season. But it's a great result for Cali, and how they maybe win. Maybe not the prettiest, but it's getting that result, and hopefully they can kick on now and climb the table, because I think it's good to get the result, and it maybe looked a wee bit, as you say, a wee bit nervy at the end, and they could have maybe chucked away 2 points. However, they've managed to grind out that result and kick on. Next game we're going to look at is another team that's kind of in that must-win bracket. It was Gretna. They were at home to Vale of Leithen, and they actually won 5-0. That's a good result for Gretna, managing to score goals and keep a clean sheet.
Yeah. I have to eat a wee bit of humble pie, I guess, because I was really on it, Gretna. I think a lot of what I said, I still agree with. They were against, probably another team that you expect to be down there, but I wasn't expecting them to win 5-0. A fantastic result, really, really great. I think one thing that I was probably a wee bit too harsh on, that I probably didn't really consider, was the fact that they have had a tough start against, the likes of BSC, Spartans, all these sort of top teams. So they've got another tough game coming up as well. But yeah, full credit to Gretna, fantastic result. Lewis McGrattan opened the scoring after 15 minutes with Daniel Smales doubling it, 5 minutes later. It was 2-0 at half time. Daniel Smales scored just after the kick-off, second half, 47 minutes. Lewis McGrattan again on the 74th, and Daniel Smales completed his hat-trick on the 86th minute, 5-0. What a thumping, and what a result for Gretna. As I say, I felt it was maybe a wee bit harsh in terms of the results with who they've played, but very worrying for Vale. We've talked them up a wee bit in terms of what they can do going forward, but at the moment the focus is on them defending, and they've probably conceded a lot more than the other teams around them at the moment.
Yeah, you just look at how many goals they've shipped already this season. 31 goals in 7 games. It's not a great average if you look at that. And I think I've seen some of Vale's game against BSC, and I thought they didn't look terrible for in that game. But I don't know what's happened in the games after that, because they haven't seemed to be able to pull anything out of the bag at all. Shipped another 5 on Saturday, but fair play to Gretna. They've showed flashes in some of their games that they are capable, but they couldn't get that result. But finally, they get the win, and again, another team that will be hopeful to kick on from getting that result and try and kind of pull themselves out of that kind of relegation type battle that's maybe starting to form in the bottom part of the league. So I called Gretna we're going to win this one, so I'll be quite happy for my prediction there from last week. All right, looking at the next game in the Lowland League, it was University of Stirling versus Dalby Star at Fourth Bank. It was a 4-2 victory for Star. University of Stirling, our team have been very positive about so far in the podcast, but can I come unstuck again to Dalby?
We kind of mentioned it in the previews that Dalby last season had went up to Fourth Bank and beat them 3-0. It seems to be a happy hunting ground for them. Picking up their first win. I think the boys were chuffed. I saw Lee Wells, the captain, had tweeted out, now we go forward, basically. There was a wee bit of confusion with I think it was Gary who was on the Stirling Uni Twitter. He thought they were playing Gala. I don't know if it's maybe just the red and black, but yeah, Dalby started fantastically well. It was a nice move by Dalby on the edge of the Stirling box, but the player was brought down. Free kick in the middle, just outside box, and Lewis Sloan stepped up and gave Dalby Star the lead within 5 minutes. It was 2-0 on the 16th minute. Ross Irvine collects the slack ball outside the box and fires long range past Ben Fry. There was a bit of a minute of madness a few moments later on the 23rd minute. Ball jinking around in the box, and Jason Jarvis scores for Stirling Uni. A minute later, 24th minute, it was 2 goals in a minute for Stirling Uni. This time it was the man, Jamie Pinker, heading home on the goal line. So a bit of a frantic, mental sort of few minutes in that game, 2-2 at half-time. It was Star that sort of done the business in the second half. On the hour mark, it was a clever ball from Jarvis, covered into the box, but too close to the keeper. Then Dalby break forward with pace, and Ross Irvine rounds Ben Fry to slot home to give Dalby Star the lead again. And the game was pretty much sealed on the 70th minute. Another quick break down the right wing. Ball played inside. Unfortunately for Stirling Uni, they missed a few tackles, and Daniel Orze covers it past Ben Fry. Great game to watch from what I've heard. Both teams sort of going for it, if you will, end to end for most of the 90 minutes, but Star were more clinical. I believe Chris was probably disappointed with the result there, but they had a lot of the possession. But when you're coming up against the Dalby side that looked very clinical on their day, putting away on the counter, that's how you get results, basically, by scoring goals.
Yeah, you're just starting to wonder if maybe teams at the early part of the season have maybe undermined University of Stirling a wee bit and maybe kind of looked at them as maybe an easier fixture, but they've obviously done pretty well now. Teams are starting to sit up and take some notice of University of Stirling, and they are kind of maybe taking things a bit more seriously. But I think still University of Stirling will still do well. I don't expect them to. It's been a couple of kind of poor results for them the last 2 weeks, but I think in general, I think they'll still be keeping abreast of only a point behind Bonnyrigg at this point in the season. So I think if they finish kind of high mid-table, they'll be pretty happy with the season. So a good result for Dalby, and they'll be able to kind of get that first win off their back. And again, another team that's probably want to try and get out of that kind of bottom kind of section of the league and try and kick on and stay out of the kind of the relegation points right now.
And one of the things we said last week is we've not seen the best of Star. They've had a few tough fixtures early doors. So brilliant result. Full credit to Dalby, and it's tough on Vale with Gretna, winning their first game, Dalby winning their first game. Edinburgh Uni still got points. Vale will have to get a win quickly, or it might be a wee bit worrying for Vale of Leithen.
Yeah, I think Vale will definitely be concerned right now, looking ahead at some of the games that are coming up, and it'll be tough for them. But those are teams are definitely going to be trying to kind of take something from the results they've got at the weekend and hopefully kick on and try and kind of ideally for the rest of the teams to leave a team like Vale at the bottom kind of stranded. But Vale obviously they'll get their form, I think, at some point, and they'll be able to get some results on the board. I don't think they're completely out of it right now. I think the time will come, but you've got to be pleased if you're like the likes of Star and Gretna who picked up those results on Saturday. All right, looking ahead now to the fixtures coming up for the midweek games on Tuesday. We're starting off with Berwick versus University of Stirling.
I don't think Berwick have been that bad. I think they've been playing well. They've probably not scored a lot. We keep going back to them not really scoring loads, but they've certainly been up against a few sort of decent teams. Obviously, BSC Glasgow, Boness lately. University of Stirling, the kind of last couple of games have not been great. Tough one to call, but I'll go with a draw on that one.
Yeah, I think I'd said a draw there as well. I think Uni are looking good. Berwick will be a little bit disappointed to lose to Boness, but I don't think there's anything to be too worried about at the moment, for sure. They're probably not going to be title challengers, but they're certainly, I don't think they're in any danger of getting relegated. So maybe for Berwick, it's a case of kind of consolidating their position and come back stronger kind of next year. Next game is Bonnyrigg Rose versus Civil Service Strollers. Now, been very critical of Bonnyrigg for most of the season, but I think I fancy Bonnyrigg to get a result here. They've got to turn around the form at some point, and no better to do that at home at New Dundas Park on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I actually think it's a really tough game for them because the games that they've had with Civil have always been sort of close. There was one I remember that Civil could have easily won. I think they had the disallowed goal. So that's the sort of flavour of the day with them games. They always seem to be very close. Sometimes, they even draw. I'm gonna just because of being at home at New Dundas Park. They've been a wee bit down lately in terms of the results. So I think they need a reaction. And I think they need it quickly. So I am going to tip them to win that game though.
Okay, next game is Cali Braves versus Gala 2008 in Alliance Park. Both teams coming off good results on the weekend. I think this is going to be quite close. Again, I think I'll go with draw here. Like a 0-0 draw, I think we'll go with here. A bore fest, if you like, but a point apiece.
Difficult. I've been tough on both them teams lately. I think it's going to be a draw, but I'll go with a score draw. I'll go with 2-2.
Okay, next game is Caledonian Rovers versus Edinburgh Uni, and that's at the 3G Arena in Netherdale. It's a great title, that, it? 3G Arena, I like that. I've never heard of any teams having an arena at this level of Scottish football, so an interesting name for the ground. But I think Gala have done well so far this season. Edinburgh Uni probably not looking too great at the moment, so I think Gala should win that game comfortably.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. Gala should win that. Edinburgh Uni have not been completely bad the last few games. They've as I said, they're probably disappointed. They never got at least a point against Cali Braves, but Gala are on some form at the moment. Won the last 3 against some decent teams. So yeah, Gala for me.
Next one is the Spartans versus Vale of Leithen. I think that's a pretty easy one to call. I don't think Vale got a result here, so I think the Spartans should take this one.
Yeah, straightforward Spartans for me.
Looking ahead then on the Tuesday night, it's also the Betfred Cup and Kelty in action against Peterhead. I think looking at Kelty's results so far in the Betfred Cup, they haven't disappointed themselves. I think Peterhead are going to be probably more at their level in terms of a side to play. Peterhead are not a bad side, but I think Kelty can edge it. Personally, I think they'll come out and set their stall out well. And I think they'll manage to get a result in the Betfred Cup.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you, Ben. I've not really checked into Peterhead in terms of where they are, in the league. But they have lost a few players, obviously, a few of them to the Lowland League, Kelty, for example. But I'll go with Kelty getting a result there. I'm not sure if they'll win, but again, it depends if Nathan Austin's back. I know I speak a lot about Nathan Austin, but I really, at the moment, I think they're missing him in terms of his goal scoring.
I agree. I don't know much about Peterhead, but I do know they have Cy Ferry, who plays centre-half from the Open Goal podcast, so we'll be keeping an eye out on that one. Let's say, I'm using air quotes here, rival podcasts. It'll be interesting to see how Kelty go on, but I think they'll get the result. I think he plays centre-half now. I don't think he's playing like East. I think he used to be like a winger or a midfielder. when he played like down in England, but centre half. I'll listen to kind of what he says. I can't remember if he does actually play, but certainly a decent enough player.
I'm not taking the piss with that, Ben. He's a good guy actually, but I just didn't think he got a game from what I've heard. So
we'll need fact check that one. I think Chris. So I'm going to do that right this second. He didn't play on Saturday, but he's played like 2 games, I think. I think he played in the cup games. He played centre half against Dundee United, so he might play against Kelty. I do like him. I always thought he was a bit of an arse, but I actually really like his podcast. I must admit, I'm a big fan. Looking ahead to Wednesday night, it's Bo'ness versus BSC Glasgow at Newton Park. This looks like a tough game. I think this will be the kind of game that will kind of prove the kind of team that might one of these teams who could be a title contender. If BSC can get a result, I think looking at the BSC squad, very very strong right now in terms of the depth that they have. So I think BSC will just steal the points here in a close game.
Yeah, I'll go with BSC, but very very slightly. I think Bo'ness have been great. They are at home, which makes me think it's going to be really tight, but I'll go slightly towards BSC, I would say, to get the result. Okay,
next game, Derby Star versus East Kilbride. I was going to say East Kilbride Thistle, but they're a team in the west of Scotland. East Kilbride, I think this should be a comfortable victory for EK. I think they'll continue that form they've got from so far in this season. I don't expect any dramas in this game, so an easy win for East Kilbride.
Derby, some of the top teams have really struggled previously in previous season going down to Islecroft. I don't think they like the journey, especially the midweek journey down there. But coming off a win against Stirling Uni, I think they'll be kind of buoyed a wee bit about the result. But yeah, East Kilbride, they just beat Kelty. I would imagine there'll be another 3-pointer for them.
And the final game on Wednesday night is East Stirlingshire versus Cumbernauld Colts. Yeah, looking at East Stirlingshire, I think it should be another easy victory for them. I think even though Cumbernauld have had some decent performances, I think they'll be no match for Shire.
Yeah, you have to back East Stirlingshire going by the results lately. Cumbernauld Colts, I think they're getting a wee bit better. Maybe results haven't shown that, but East Stirlingshire all the way for me.
Yeah, and that's the fixtures for the midweek. Of course, there'll be games on Saturday coming up as well, but it's another exciting week in the Lowland League coming up. We'll just round off the podcast there. We'll go with the normal plugs that we do. So, Chris, where can everyone get you on Twitter and social media, etc.?
You can find me at Rampant FM on Twitter. I'll just do the Catchup one since it's just myself and you, Ben. Official Catchups at Official Catchup on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at Lowland League Catchup, and pretty much everywhere else either under Official Catchup or Lowland League Catchup. YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, everywhere, mate.
You get me on Twitter. It's at Mr. Ben Grant. Send your abuse as always into my art messages, and we'll be sure to take your feedback on board. I was disappointed. I haven't seen much drama coming in the Twitter recently, so I'm quite happy to send your beef over if you've got any issues with what I've got to say. I'm quite up for the debate. So, and obviously Moz is not here today, but you can get him at Moz Plays on Twitter and Twitch, etc. He'll be streaming his games, no doubt. With BSC at home, he's also doing his Football Manager stuff as well. So you'll be able to catch him on there. Just another shout out to our sponsors, the Soccer Shop Direct. You'll get them on Twitter. It's at the Soccer Shop D, or get their website www.thesoccershopdirect.com. Until next week, guys, we'll have a great week, and we'll catch you all soon.